was brought to this country in bondage, treated like property. But then, my Lord Nobunaga granted me the title of samurai. But I couldn't save him.
This is the remarkable story of how a 16th century African man named Yasuke sailed halfway around the world and rose from slavery to Japan's highest honor of samurai. 16th century Japan was largely closed off to the outside world. The country was divided into provinces ruled by local feudal lords called daimyos. During this period, European explorers began to sail to every hemisphere of the world, a time referred to as the Age of Exploration. Portuguese explorers were the first to arrive in Japan, bringing with them their language, religion, and slavery. People ripped from their homelands in Africa were sold into servitude aboard Portuguese ships that sailed around the world. Yasuke was one of these slaves. Little is known about Yasuke's origins. He may have lived in Mozambique before being taken into slavery. Eventually, he came into the possession of a Jesuit missionary named Alessandro Valignano, who was one of the first Europeans to bring Christianity to the Far East. The letters of his fellow Jesuit, Luis Frois, provide much of the written account of Yasuke's story. He would have been one of the first Africans ever seen in Japan. Curious townspeople were so desperate to get a look at him that they broke down the Jesuits' door to get in. Some even perished in the onslaught. Lord Oda Nobunaga became very interested in European culture and helped the Jesuits build a church in Kyoto. When Yasuke first came before Lord Nobunaga, he was described as a young man who stood over 6 feet tall and whose strength surpassed that of 10 men. The daimyo was so convinced that Yasuke's skin had been dyed with ink that at one point he ordered the slave to strip to his waist and scrub his body. The two developed a sort of friendship, and even though Yasuke could only speak a little Japanese, he greatly impressed Lord Nobunaga, who reportedly enjoyed talking with him.
I dreamt of becoming a samurai, so that I could fight for Lord Nobunaga. Who do you fight for?
Lord Nobunaga granted Yasuke a sum of money, a house, and a katana, and at this point, the slave graduated from an object of Portuguese property to a member of the daimyo's advisors and loyally served him as an honored samurai. Yasuke the Black Samurai was now part of the Japanese elite. In 1582, one of Lord Nobunaga's associates betrayed him and led an attack on his castle. Yasuke fought bravely in defense of his master, but when Nobunaga foresaw imminent defeat, he committed seppuku rather than face dishonor.
Lord Nobunaga told me that he would make me a true samurai someday.
Yasuke continued to battle long after all was lost, until he finally surrendered his sword to the enemy. They spared his life because he wasn't Japanese, but they sent him back to the Jesuits. What happened after this is lost to history, but thankfully his story and the mark he made on history continues to be shared centuries